everybody, and if my sources are correct, hello there, brother and dad. That might just be part of the everybody, because I don't actually know how in-depth you follow my channel. All I know is that you sorta do. Welcome to October. Also, welcome to the month of darkness because of Paradox's marketing team, which normally pushes out a lot of Vampire the Masquerade news-related things in October because the spooky month, the vibes kind of fit. This is not exactly their product, but it is their product adjacent, at least for the time being, so I thought it kind of fits into the theme. If you didn't know this yet, there has been this developer that has been working on a Vampire the Masquerade Redemption remake for the past several years. This project is entirely free and it was being done in Skyrim. Yes, Skyrim. The still that you're seeing right now is Skyrim. I'll just let that sink in. That is Skyrim. Well, recently, just in case there's gonna be legal problems, they reached out to Activision and they reached out to Paradox because despite the fact that this is a free mod for Skyrim, if you're making a mod that includes somebody else's intellectual property, even if you're like remaking it from scratch, they can't just like take it down. And if you're investing like years of your life into that getting your project taken down is kind of a big thing. So recently Activision said no to the modders for being able to remake Vampire the Masquerade Redemption in Skyrim. So instead of this being called Vampire the Masquerade Redemption Reawakened, it's now just Vampire the Masquerade Reawakened. At the moment, the modders don't actually know whether they're gonna be trying to do a vague Vampire the Masquerade redemption story, or whether they will just be trying to make their own entirely new story, and they don't even feel attached to the Vampire the Masquerade bit, because from what I know, if Paradox doesn't like play nice with them and allow them to do this, they're entirely fine with like ditching the IP, making it a standalone game inside of Skyrim, and just, renaming any conflating bits. So, for now, what this project is still remains to be decided, so why am I talking about this right now? Well, first of all, you can help them decide what to do, because they're effectively asking for community to vote on whether or not they should copy the redemption story as close as possible without infringing on Activision's copyright by just using Paradox stuff, because the whole story of Kristoff is technically like belonging to Paradox, but like very specific wording and dialogue that would be Activision stuff. Or whether they should just like abandon that, go with the vibes and just like make their own thing. That vote's gonna be outgoing for like several months. It's currently on their Discord, but also they're just gonna seek out comments about their project literally anywhere. So if you tell them what to do on Twitter, if you tell them what to do on YouTube, they're still gonna like count you as being part of the votes. They're taking it all into account. Why am I talking about something that's not even out though? Well, one thing that this developer has proved that they can do, which is what a lot of big studios can't do, and it is atmosphere. I am gonna make another video, probably still in October, because it just feels on point, and I'm gonna be playing Bloodlines, so you're gonna, find the whole Bloodlines playthrough on this channel again. So it feels like it's the right time to talk about this. I'm gonna talk about how Bloodlines managed to get the atmosphere of the game just so right that it still like stands up from like all the way 20 years later. And this is actually something that I really, really seek in games now. If your game has a unique cohesion, unique atmosphere to it, it's gonna be memorable. If your game lacks that, it's not gonna be so memorable. So for example, Deus Ex 1 is very memorable. Deus Ex Human Revolution is also very memorable. That one in part for its music and yellow filter, but still, you get the point. Normally, it's the small details, how the people move around on the streets, what kind of ambient noise is there, what can you do on the street. It's all the things that are just outside of the regular, just the gameplay loop of you go to a place and you do the thing that you need to do. There are quite a lot of vampire games that don't quite nail it, or nail it somewhat. Like, for example, Vampire nails it somewhat. It's a very unique atmosphere to it. I would rate it at 7 out of 10. It's not like so unique that it lives in my head rent-free the way that Dark Souls would, but it is quite cohesive, it is memorable, there is like this drabby feeling to it. You can run through the streets and find something unique. Exploring the houses is sort of fun, but also there's just like a lot of extra random enemies there, and not as much exploration as there could be, and not as much livelihood to it as it could be. A lot of recent Vampire the Masquerade IPs are either visual novels that are very, very hard to rate on atmosphere. Like, I can rate it on music and drawings, but it's not a 3D space that I can move around in. It's not even a 2D space that I can move around in. It's not something that I can investigate and figure the feel of. It is in the end a visual novel, or it is games that don't quite get it. Swan Song felt very clean aesthetics-wise, and it definitely had the parts that it wanted to have and the levels that it wanted to have, but it doesn't have any kind of memorable hook to it. It doesn't have any kind of visual and artistic and sound direction that has a hook to it. It doesn't have any extra pieces to the scenery that would really be pulling you in. And from what I saw of Bloodlines 2, my brain immediately went, this ain't it. And it is something that's very, very hard to explain, because this project is tickling the this is it part of my brain. So even if it comes out and this is not what comes out, even if it completely changes, for the time being, it is really tickling that this is it part of the brain. And I'm just gonna play a little bit, because this is a dev report. I linked the full YouTube channel to the dev YouTube channel in the description down below. This is the dev report 4, and they were just showing off what they made, because they were anticipating that Paradox might tell them no. They were trying to work on the parts that they could easily transfer, no matter how the game goes, so that no work is being lost. And the changes that they're gonna make so far are kind of minor. They tried to avoid making anything that they would, need to rip out and remake. But this is kind of an example of what they have.
Right. Canst thou, you take us to the downtown? Happy. Greetings, Sir Hank.
Would you look at that? The bloodsuckers came back.
We wish to see your wares.
So you want to see my merchandise? You have a look.
Now, is all my reason thrown down? Surely my sleep has made me mad. For if I am yet sane, then the world has become a lunatic asylum. Towers of glass loom over the tallest cathedral spire. Juggernauts of steel huddle through the streets of London. The cobbled Roman roads, which I once walked as a young crusader, are now fused into a single ribbon of black stone. And those roads are clogged with the night-walking Londoners, heedless of the dangers from the vampires among them. They so emboldened by the phantom torches which pierce the night and stab my eye. Surely my world has died, and all I love lies buried with me.
These dialogues are now supplemented.
I hope that you kind of can see what it is and what I'm seeing, because what I'm seeing is if you took what Vampire the Masquerade Redemption was going for, take it to its modern part, because part of the game was played in the modern days, and then try to transpose a very, very similar art style and voice acting style and music style and everything onto something that's being made in 2024, which makes it not quite look modern, but more like it is an homage. And that homage currently is very faithful to the way that lighting falls, to the way that models look, to the way that dialogue sounds. And I honestly really dig it because it just gives it this very unique feel, almost a nostalgic feel, but without the necessary roughness. It's like it is still rough, but it's like it is deliberately rough. I had seen a few not very successful games that had like a similar style, but also they were an infinite dungeon delver, so I can kind of see why it didn't really appeal to many people. But suffice it to say, I am intrigued. I am intrigued because it looks unique, it sounds unique, it feels like it should feel. The place has weather, the place has people. The place has a very out-of-place vampire that talks like it's still the Middle Ages. It is fun, and it feels fun, and I don't get this from the newer games being presented to us. It's as if the newer games being presented to us by Paradox, at least what I can tell from like Bloodlines 2, what I played through Swan Song, and I know that their Werewolf game also didn't quite live up to what it was supposed to be because it felt like a bit of a mismatch of different playstyles and different models even, and the way that the models were modeled, some looked a lot better, some looked a lot poorer, like they ran out of time. Those games just have this certain feel of soulless to them that this one doesn't quite have, and that Bloodlines 1 doesn't quite have. It feels like it's made with love, and I can't quite describe it in any other way. And when you feel that in a game, you're like, okay, this might just be good, because it's hooking you in. Whatever the atmosphere, it could be like noir, it could be drabby, it could be very, very happy. If it feels like someone was very committed to it and like it's made with love, you're gonna feel that. And you're like, okay, the atmosphere is atmosphering. I'm vibing. So I'm gonna say this, I'm vibing. The atmosphere is atmosphering. And from all of the upcoming vampire games, this is kind of what I want to play. I don't know whether that's a sad thing or what that says about the industry or about the lack of choice or about Bloodlines 2 not really pulling me in and me not having any passion for it, I guess. But this is... I can see myself playing this. I have passion for this. And you know what? Maybe you should know that it exists too. So consider this, you know... me going, hi, look here. And, you know, maybe when it comes out, hopefully it comes out and nothing bad happens to the project, we can all play it on Skyrim together, because who doesn't have Skyrim? It's been here since 2011, and Bethesda is, like, really slow and not making new games anymore. Well, they are, but they made one in, like, 13 years, and it was, like, a spacey type game, and it kind of flopped. And now the question is whether they're gonna take another 13 years to make the next Elder Scrolls, because for some reason their ability to pump out games is like turtle's pace. So well, hopefully we will be able to, you know, evaluate Elder Scrolls 6 and what is it? 2037? That seems about right. Unless, you know, they kind of get sidetracked and start a different project. It's a slow-moving company. I don't know what to tell you. So Skyrim, we probably all have that. This is gonna be there eventually. For now, maybe, you know, follow the game developer on YouTube like I'm doing because I'm currently subscribed. I'm not exactly in their Discord, but I am subscribed to them on YouTube. It's hard to get Mirta into Discords. I'm only subscribed to very few and very specific ones. I don't like getting too many notifications. It kind of irks me. So I'm tracking it. You can track it with me. And honestly, I'm really excited for it. I am excited to play it. I wanna experience Vampire the Masquerade Redemption inspired story because it can no longer be a direct port. There are, of course, quite a few other things that they were talking about in here, like mechanically you can take and remove party members, especially like in the medieval setting, because yeah, they have a medieval setting. Quite a lot of like Vampire the Masquerade Redemption like takes place in the medieval setting. So you can take party members, but you don't have to. You can also like play it alone. There are blood dolls. There are things like if you're feeding out there and there's like the place has windows, you have a chance of like getting discovered that you're currently feeding because, well, the place has windows and presumably they're not just decoration, you know, presumably there are people that can actually look outside. They were talking about a bit about how abilities are gonna work, how combat's gonna work. Of course, you have like very Christophy outfits that are very Christoph-like that they might be able to keep or might, you know, have to change a bit depending on what belongs to Activision and what doesn't. And of course, depending on how people vote, we might have a Christoph or we might have a completely original cast. There's like a slidey scale to that. We can have like 50% Christoph, we can have 25% Christoph, we can have no Christoph, or can have all the Christoph. You know, if you go to the developer's channel and find this devlog, you can vote, or their Discord, or the Twitter, or any way, shape possible. Just get your message across to the developer and tell them what you want. And they'll figure out on the direction, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. Whatever is gonna actually come out, I'm really liking what I'm seeing, and I can't actually say that about other big vampire games, like Bloodlines 2. I can't say that I'm liking anything about what I'm seeing over there, or that I'm too into what was already released from that IP, so, you know, that's something. That either means that I'm very jaded or that I really dig this project, one or the other. I'll figure it out myself as time progresses. Now, that was all that I actually wanted to say in this video, so thank you for listening to me mumble, and thank you for my Patreon subscribers for, you know, funding me and stuff. I like money. I really, really, really like money. So yeah, hopefully I'm gonna see you the next time. I'm gonna be playing through Bloodlines again, so expect those streams. I'm gonna, you know, make a talky video talking about Bloodlines that's hopefully a bit more oriented and a bit less wishy-washy, like a lot of my videos end up being. And I do quite a lot of occult stuff, so if you're like into a bit of a spooky things, then I have some real spooky shit out there, except maybe you shouldn't view it as spooky or exotic. It's a bit of a pet peeve of mine that a lot of movies and books and, you know, games just took the theme of what is essentially someone else's spirituality and was like, yep, that looks scary. Let's go with that. Imagine if that was instead like Christianity and you made up a whole bunch of scary bullshit, because I mean some of their stuff sounds really scary. Like eating the flesh of Jesus and, you know, drinking his blood. And it's very ritualistic, so definitely prime subject for spooky stories, but nobody's like taking that because that's a bit too ingrained into regular culture. Instead, you just borrow from people's spirituality that you know nothing about because, you know, that is a small group and it's probably not gonna bring any pitchforks. Where was I? Anyway, I was ending the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'm gonna see you the next time. Toodaloo for now.